What up, world? It is According to Hip Hop Live on a midday. What's going on, Coop? How you doing, sir?
What's going on? How are you, fam?
I'm great, man. We got a lot to get into today, man. We got a real lineup for people that
I
are
know.
coming in the room. We want people to come into the room. Man, we're gonna do a show Friday, man. I'm thinking about having people call in too. So, be on the lookout for that because I know there's a lot of things that we like to interact with people with on the chat. But to get some call-ins, man, that should be cool. But
Yeah,
today we're gonna
I'm
cover
ready.
the Certified Lover Boy review. We're gonna cover the Life of the Party, Kanye West feature Andre 3000, the unreleased gem that seemingly Kanye was going to Drake, the whole Andre apology. We're gonna talk about this Memphis Bleak interview where he said that Nas doesn't have enough songs to compete with Jay Z in the verses. We're gonna talk about Kendrick Lamar. If hip hop missed him, what am I missing, man? Verse of the year, and yeah, a host of things. Drake's overall status, man. But let's just get into it, man. What were some of your thoughts listening to Certified Lover Boy for the first time, and have any of your thoughts changed by being letting it digest for a few days, being able to let it digest for a few days? Excuse me.
No, I mean, Mike, you want to know what? Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm. I got plenty of notes.
Me too, Mike.
Okay.
I told you he needed a win.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing that I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
He needed a win, and this is a win. No matter how safe it is, it's a win. And the main reason that it's a win is the production and the executive production.
It's a win album wise, yes. And he needed a win. I agree with that.
Win.
If we talk about, and we're going to get to this later on, if we talk about overall artist status, where this propels you to or, puts you at when we talk about overall great artists, I don't know if it's a win, but yeah, you're right. It's a win right now.
I mean, but he needed that
He
though. He
needed it.
hasn't had a win in a while. I mean, we're gonna be talking about Ye some too. Shout out to everybody paying tithes to the Church of Ye. But Ye just fired his engineer, and you goddamn right, he should have fired the engineer because, like I've been saying, the engineering on that album was abysmal, if even existent. And when you go listen to Certified Lover Boy just the following week, just from a production and executive production standpoint, 40, Mike, like 40 just did his thing. Me and Matt from the Yardies was talking about it. And I was like,
Hmm.
Matt, I was like, am I tripping? Or I was like, the Certified Lover Boy, like engineering wise, sound like Supreme. And he just kept on looking at me. He's like, Coop, he's like, that's 40. He's like, that's what
Well,
40 gonna do.
Well, this is the thing. When you got an artist who is like I don't even want to say a label
And
flagship
that's
artist.
and,
He's a
and that's another
flagship for the whole industry. Your shit's
right.
gonna sound clean.
Right, but understand this is a big time music producer I'm having a conversation with to sharing these thoughts about 40. He's like, no, he's like, that's 40. I'm like, and me and him was joking. He was like, man, Ye need to fire his engineer. And so when Ye just fired his engineer, I gotta hit Matt up because me and Matt was literally joking about how Ye need to fire his engineer like 2, 3 days ago.
Well, you know what, engineering wise, and if you want to talk about production wise and just overall mixing, mastering, product, it reminds me of, like, let's just say, and maybe not to this level, but albums like the documentary about the game, right?
Not to that one, but
You're
I get what
going
you're
to
saying.
get the best of the best when it comes to that because this is that supposed to be that kind of product. I don't think anything that Drake does is supposed to be raw in the way that Donda was supposed to come across, and like you said, a stadium approach. I think this is radio approach. We're talking about radio approach versus stadium approach, right?
Correct.
Are we talking about raw feelings or raw, I guess, vulnerability and trying to translate that sonically versus radio sonics and club sonics, lounge sonics? I think that, this Drake album was more of a lounge album for me, you know what I'm saying, when I heard it. Huh?
Clarify that thought
Well, I
for
mean,
me.
all right. To clarify that thought, I'm thinking the music that you listen to when you're out, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying that he thought the concept of the album cover was basically saying that he got a lot of sons out here in the industry, possibly. That's one way of looking at it, and
Good looking at it.
also just those billboards being in every city. It was like, okay, well, I'm coming through every town, and basically, I got sons in every town type thing, and this is a world tour, and so it's really largely based on the nightlife. I feel, and things that aren't based on the nightlife are very braggadocious.
So
But
let's
the more
go
that I
ahead.
listen to some of these songs, though, not to cut you off, like 7 a.m., and I'm glad, in a way, I'm kind of glad we didn't do the show Friday because some of the songs that I was impressed by on Friday, I'm less impressed with on Wednesday. Not to date our show or anything.
No. I feel you.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of those records? Just
Well, the
break
7
down.
a.m. record was impressive to me at first, super impressive because, he's just going in. And it reminds me of what Jay was doing in the early 2000s with songs like Hovey Baby and What More Can I Say or whatever. It's like, you're talking your shit. And then I was listening to it today while I was riding a couple of hours ago. And I'm like, what is he really saying though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a bunch of words. He's going in. He's saying that, okay, I'm this, I'm that, I've done this, I've done that.
You talking about 7
Accomplishment.
a.m. You talking about 7 a.m. on Bridal Path?
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
mean,
it's like,
Mike.
and then we
I mean,
start,
see that.
and
So
go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, I mean that's arguably the best song on this project, though.
Right, right, and that was one of the ones that I felt like was one of the better, if not the best song on the project when I first heard it. But now I'm actually listening to the bars outside of just listening to the approach, and I'm like, am I getting lines like, I'm so far ahead of my time, I'm about to start another life. Look behind you, I'm about to pass you twice. You know.
Well, hold on. So let so what we need to do is also provide context again.
Okay.
Like, although this is an impressive mic performance by Drake, I never had him confused with Pusha or Conway
But
or
people
Nas
do, and
or
so
Kendrick.
I look. Yeah.
I think we can do a job about clarifying that some because,
Right.
and you and I had this talk, even though we didn't do the show, we've still been talking pretty semi-frequently over the course of this time, Mike. And let's just go to No Friends in the Industry
My
and
favorite
7 a.m.
song on there.
Right, and 7 a.m. on Bridal Path. Like for me,
Okay.
I think those are the two best mic performances and arguably the two best songs on there.
What did you think
Okay,
about Champagne Poetry and Poppy's Home, Mike performance wise?
hold on. Champagne Poetry,
Mm-hmm.
probably one of his most honest records ever. And it's almost a little misleading for the album because that reflective, introspective tone, the guy who's talking about how he's in therapy to start off this album, like that mature version of Drake really doesn't show itself on this project. He comes off more like a 25-year-old than a 35-year-old, quite frankly,
Yeah.
musically speaking, and from in what he's talking about rhetoric wise. So, and you can take issue with that if you want to, because one thing that you can say about Ye's project, it's very grown man stuff that he's going on with him and that he's going through.
Right.
And there is a contrast to that. There's a contrast. Another friend of mine, Sharon, brought up about how he really didn't care for how an artist of Drake's stature chose to market this. He likes the way that Ye didn't really try to market the guest appearances and the features and hype it up. And he made a very valid point when he said that. He's like, that's Kanye, that's Drake. Like, you don't gotta hype nothing up the product there.
I agree.
He was right.
Do you not feel like, even outside of the Billboard hype and all those things, do you not feel like Drake actually used Donda as marketing material too? Because we didn't get a release date on Certified Lover Boy until Donda actually was released. And you went to one of the events, the Donda events. At no point was Kanye calling Drake out or calling him to the carpet. Like, this seems to be like a one-way quote unquote feud that people are, I feel like Kanye's being used as marketing material for this effort, or was being used.
So I mean, me and the homie Sherm also had the convo about are we all just being taken on one big ride by these dudes?
I think by one dude. I don't think this is. I mean, when you everything that Kanye's talking or has talked was, and we're gonna get into that record in a minute, was just personal stuff that wasn't let out. And the one song where he really kind of, just
See,
let it all go wasn't even supposed to be out.
yeah, but Mike, but it's like I was saying the last time we did do a show. It's like I don't trust the guy that's talking the things that he's talking that just took $15 million either. So like he's not above that. No, just where that 15 mil at. So it's like he's not above doing like no. So it's like he does have a part to play in this because like nothing he's done has said that he's above that or beyond that. So who's to say he doesn't have a hand in it?
I just don't think his actions match. You know what I'm saying? I think that only one person seems to be benefiting from this. Like you said, he needed a win. When we first heard about Donda and these events, none of this talk was going on, and you saw the crowds out there. That was before
Right.
any feud.
No, and you're right. Now here's the thing about it. Let's make a couple things clear. Like
Mm-hmm.
Drake needed a win, so did Kanye, and all that's what I'm saying. Like that, some of this is crazy. It's like no,
Not in the
like
same way though.
he needed a win too. Well, Drake's not the icon that Ye is, and a lot of that has to do with the music. Like he hasn't made the classics that have stuck to you in an internal way. Like Ye's made stuff that sticks to people's ribs. So how people gravitate to Ye is different, and he's earned that.
Yeah.
But that don't mean you need no win. I told you, Mike, he hadn't made anything great since My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
But see, I think that where Kanye is as an artist and where he is with the fans, because clearly you saw the fans out there at the first listening event in Atlanta, Georgia. I think people are okay with the fact that, okay, we know we're not going to get the college dropout yet. It's kind of like Outkast, right? Like, we just want to hear and see Outkast because we know that it's a moment. We know we're not going to get Nakumina. We know we're not going to get any more stank on it. It's not going to happen. But see, Drake's in a different position. He's still in the prime of his career. His win that he needed this time is way different than Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Like Kanye just, again,
So here's what I mean, and I'm gonna keep going back to the first Ye event that he had that I was at. The dude next to me, Mike, for the entirety of the show, had his cell phone in his hand like this, recording every single moment.
Yeah.
Dude would not move. He would not budge. He looked like he was in a trance. Every time I turned and looked at them, I was just like,
see, numbers don't equate a lot of those things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
and
what
see
I'm
what
saying.
I tried to.
That's different, Mike, but that's also dangerous. That's what I keep trying to tell y'all. Like that's
No.
dangerous.
I feel like
the
all of
quality
these
of music don't matter
entertainers.
at that point when you got people like that.
I think all of these entertainers that are huge like that have a level of danger. There's a danger to Beyonce. There's a danger to Jay-Z. There's clearly a danger to Eminem. You know what I mean? But the thing is, it's like numbers don't always equate that. You know, I think people look at Jay-Z's stature in the game, and we're going to talk about him too because he's on both albums. K Thompson, shout out to K Thompson in the room. He said, "Been waiting on this review." Jay-Z hasn't sold nearly as many records as many of his contemporaries that sold a shitload of records, but his stature means something else for other reasons. He reached people. I don't know if Drake is in that arena because everything, whenever you have to go reflect on numbers, don't nobody know how many albums Kanye sold for real. He has sold records, but no one ever talks about that. Whenever we talk about people like Drake or Eminem, record sales always become part of the conversation.
Hey, Mike, you're absolutely right. I've been listening to Ye from the jump, and I couldn't tell you what the record sales were for one of his projects. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Never mattered.
It never mattered.
It never mattered.
Now, what did you think about, since we're talking about both artists, and, we're reviewing Certified Lover Boy by Drake, by the way, and we, had a couple of days to actually sit on it and really listen to it. I don't want to talk too much about Donda because we did that before, but I do want to talk about the fact that Jay-Z is on both projects. What did you think of Jay-Z's feature on, Certified Lover Boy? Because I think we'd be remiss to not speak about the features on there because I think the features are kind of the highlight of the record.
I would put the features. Like I feel like we're going to get to the features. The production, 40, and the production and the executive production is still the standout
You think
work
that's
of
the
the project.
MVP? You think 40 is the MVP?
40 is the Mike.
Okay.
Like nothing replaces like a good producer who also knows how to engineer. Like there ain't no replacement for that.
What did you think about Jay-Z's feature on what's the name of the song? I got the track list here. Um, Love All. I'm sorry.
You want to know what? And I'm not being shady at all when I say this. Do you remember when Jay actually signed Nas to Def Jam? And
Yeah.
he was actually like talking about Nas and putting Nas's project together. Do you remember what he said?
He said you can't sign an artist like this. You partner with them. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but he said something. I'm talking about that same conversation, but something else that he said during that conversation. He was like, we need to take Nas out and get Nas like on the scene and in the mix, hanging out at some parties, some clubs. He wanted to kind of get Nas out of that introverted space that
I
he had
don't remember
resided in
that.
for
That's
so long.
crazy. He said that?
Yeah, he said that. He was talking about like that's when you started seeing them go hang out together. That was something that Jay consciously said that like he wanted to do. He's like, no, I want to bring this nigga Nas out like to hang out.
I need to
Mike,
go look at that interview again.
yeah,
It's been a
listen,
long time since I've seen that interview, by the way.
it might have been an actual article because I
Okay.
remember reading it somewhere. So it might have not been that same interview, but the same time frame. But
Okay.
that definitely got said. He's like, no, we need to get Nas out. All jokes aside, these two verses that I've heard from him on Donda, and especially this one on Certified Lover Boy, like Mike, listen to me what I'm about to say. Nas need to take Jay out now, like, and get him out and put him on game about like what's going on right now, like for real. And I'm not joking when I say this because they have a relationship. He just sounds so out of touch. It's ridiculous. He's never been out of touch like this.
No.
And it's like, and real talk, when you listen to King's Disease 2, and I'm bringing up Nas because King's Disease 2 is the album of the year and recently released. Well, Nas ain't having those issues that Jay having about connecting and staying relevant right now. Now, is he?
I agree. And you know what? I know 444 for a
Never
lot
thought
of
I'd be
people.
saying these things.
I know 444 was, for a lot of people was fulfilling. But did 444 really have legs for real? Or was it an album of the moment? I don't really feel like let's just say if Jay-Z were putting together a greatest hits from the 2000s on, we're not even going to count the 90s. Is anything on 444 going to be on there?
Not a song.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll stick with what I've said before, and the Blueprint 3 is celebrating its 12th anniversary today. I feel like that's the last time that Jay made an album that had songs on it that matched the legacy that we know him by. You know what I mean?
Totally agree. No, I totally agree. The Blueprint 3 is the last time that he was like, where you saw peak versions of him still in existence.
Right. Empire State of Mind,
DOA. And it's not like a moment or two. Like there are lots of moments. Like Already Home.
Yeah.
To me, Already Home is one of his like. That's one of those late great performances where he's like, no, that's greatest MC of all time type of stuff that late in career.
I like thank you too. I like
no, I don't like the beat the thank you, but him on thank you, that third verse, Mike. Yeah. No, that's what I mean. There's greatest MC of all time stuff on Blueprint 3.
Even if we talk about off that, where Drake got a hook but didn't get a verse.
I don't love that. That's
I don't love that song, but again,
Forever Younger, probably my least favorite one.
Versatility points, though. You know what I mean? Like he didn't sound, where he just didn't fit. He sounded like
No, he's nice on there, Mike.
Yeah.
Venus versus Mars, As Real as It Gets. On to the next one. Like there's, hey.
But see now though, and I've been hearing different
Ye's
things.
Flow. He took Ye's flow on Hate, and it actually worked.
Right. All right. Fast forward to now, right? I mean, I'm hearing some people saying they like the Donda verse better than the Love All verse. I'm hearing some people say the Love All verse over the Donda verse or the Jail verse. Excuse me. I didn't like
Mike,
either. I'm
Mike,
just gonna be honest. You know what I
we
mean? I
talking about we
didn't
talking about
like
we
either.
talking about a 3 and a 5. Who cares?
And I feel like
3 and a 5.
he sounded more comfortable on Love All, but I don't know what he's talking about on it. I don't know who he's
Mike,
talking
Mike,
about.
he sounds more comfortable because the production is better
Well,
on it.
and I think that anything that was on Donda, especially Jail, you got to catch that different. He's heard things like Love All before, and I think that's the other thing about Donda. And again, not to just keep talking about both albums, a lot of things on Donda we haven't heard before, man. Somebody on my Facebook page, man, like somebody I went to high school with, I think it was William Anderson. He saw some of the stuff that I was saying about Donda, and a lot of people don't agree with me a lot of times. Anyway, he was like, I don't normally agree with Mike's opinion on stuff, but I see what he means about Donda. He said the mixture of darkness, hip hop, soul, and gospel, I don't think we've heard before, or something
No,
he
we
said.
haven't.
And
No,
so
we
I
haven't.
could
That don't mean
see.
it's good.
No, no, I'm not saying
That
that.
mean
But
getting
what
good,
I'm
Joe.
saying is I could see how artists could sound better on other things because we've heard. I mean, they're used to approaching that more than they're used to approaching Jail. But I do think that if you want to talk about lyric concept, maybe his verse on Jail is better. But I just didn't understand where he was going on that Love All. Like, what's this whole thing with, like, who's hating on Jay right now? Like, who's he talking to? You talking to Dame or something? Like,
I don't
I was
know.
lost.
I don't know, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no, like, I don't know what's going on. Go hang out with Nas. Like, go hang out with Nas and Hit Boy.
You know
Like,
what
get
I
back into
feel
the
like?
crew. Do something.
You know what
Like,
I
because
feel like?
these two verses, Mike, because, I mean, we're only talking about these two verses because it's Jay. These verses are not dope.
No, they're not. And he was not even one of the standouts of Donda in
Or
particular,
Certified
or
Lover Boy.
Certified Lover
Like,
Boy.
because the standout guest appearance on Certified Lover Boy, both of those belong to Future.
Of course, Future's the MVP, man.
Future snapping.
So if
Future
we're talking,
snapping. Can we talk about Future?
yeah, we can. I was just gonna say, man. I mean, we're talking about an album in Donda though that has some possible verse of the year candidates in it. We got Jay Electronica on there, and if you want to include this Andre 3000, maybe
Yeah.
Kanye's verse on the song with Jay Electronica, maybe the Baby's verse, and the fact that Jay Z's not even hitting the radar, that's a problem, man. And on this album, to not do it again, it's like, yeah, you're getting. I don't know, man. Jay Z needs to win right now. I mean, he doesn't need anything. He's Jay, but we're gonna get to that in a minute because I know Memphis just made a wild statement about the fact that Nas doesn't even compete with Jay when it comes to a versus. But we're gonna get to that in a minute. Let me go to the chat real quick. I'm gonna let you, talk about Future and the other features and stuff. But Taji says, been waiting on this one too, talking about our review. Okay,
Future
I like
snapping
that.
on here. You understand?
He said, okay album. I personally like the Donda album better. Just pulled up Pitchfork's review. They gave it a 6.6. That's a good transition. You know what? All right, Pitchfork gave Certified Lover Boy a 6.6 and they gave King's Disease a 6.1. Do you think that there's any way that Certified Lover Boy is album of the year over King's Disease 2? I'll let you take that.
They just must want us to keep off digging off in their ass or something like that. Like, we're not having this conversation. First of all, Donda is some mid. Certified Lover Boy is some mid that was well produced. So we're gonna put it slightly above some mid.
Okay.
So giving both of these albums like 6-ish types of ratings might be appropriate out on the scale of 10, but King's Disease is a 10. And if it's not a 10, it's like 9.5 or above, depending on how you want to, like, if you really want to, if you want to get super critical and technical, you know what I'm saying? You could say it's like a 9.7, 9.8 or something like that. So not in the same stratosphere of albums, and it just speaks to the fact that they really don't know shit. You know, I really don't know how to say it. You don't know shit. Everybody over there at Pitchfork, you don't know shit. There's no way the Certified Lover Boy should be ranked higher than King's Disease 2, but there's no reason that King's Disease 2 should have gotten ranked that way to begin with. That's how we really realized y'all didn't know shit. And Peppa Pig, what Peppa Pig?
Yeah, Peppa Pig got 6.6, man. Peppa Pig got more than King's Disease 2 and Donda.
I know Peppa had bars like that, Mike.
Yeah.
She got bars? Peppa Pig got bars?
I haven't heard it, man. I don't know. I don't even understand why an album like Peppa Pig even got rated. Let me ask
Who's
you.
responsible for distributing Pitchfork? Like who's the media company that distributes Pitchfork?
You know what? We're gonna have to dig into that.
Find that out.
I know the fans out there. They probably been digging in the ass since they seen all this, man.
Good.
Yeah, as they should. All right, let me go to K Thompson. He said, I think Drake needs to do what Wayne did. He needs to stop getting production. When Wayne stopped getting production from Manny, excuse me. I think Drake should leave 40 because, hold on. He said, I think Drake should leave 40 because everything sounds the same. Too monotone and bland. You know what? I'm with that. I don't think that the stuff that 40 did was bad or just the 40 collective because there was a lot of producers on here. I sent you the whole credits and everything. But yes, this album sounds very similar to things we've heard. It was executed well, but let me ask you this, man, and I'm going to get into my tirade about that. What do you rate this album on a scale from 1 to 5?
I mean, I can't give it more than a 3.5, Mike.
Okay.
I can't.
I'm with that.
And I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like you. The more I've listened, Mike, Future snapping on here. How many times have I said that? Like, I can't
Future's the MVP, man.
Like, first of all, the Right Said Fred sample, like, Way Too Sexy. Like that's probably like the highlight of the album. And then the video. Have you seen the video?
I've seen the video, yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic, Mike.
This is what I'll say, man. I think that
and In Too Deep, like Future's verse on, like Future ain't sounded like this in forever, Mike.
Well, I mean, Future just puts out a lot of stuff, but I feel you. He's dominating on this. This is the thing with Way Too Sexy. I feel like we pulled Drake off of that song. It's the same song, right?
Turn up.
I feel like if we pull Drake off of Way Too Sexy, it's the same song, right?
The shit the Future on Way Too Sexy, like you might be right, Mike. Like anybody could have rode that wave with Future. Yeah. Both of those songs, Mike, In Too Deep and Way Too Sexy, anybody could have rode those waves with Future. He was in a zone.
Yeah. And so even Knife Talk.
I need to send him a Bentley or something like for those two records.
I was listening to Knife Talk earlier, right? And I was like,
Knife Talk, we about to go there next. That's the next guest appearance.
But see, 21, man, like the way 21 sounds over Metro, I just wanted to hear 21's part. Like I didn't even notice Drake. Like I feel like Drake got outshined by his features, and it's not always a bad thing. But see, my thing is, and I think we talked about this offline. It feels like there were more features on the album than it was because the actual featured people dominated the records. And I was telling you about Supreme Clientele, right? Ghostface Supreme Clientele, the sophomore album. It doesn't sound like the whole clan, with the exception of Old Dirty, who was locked up at the time. It doesn't sound like the whole clan was on there. It felt like he didn't have a lot of features, but he did. And so you can have features and not feel like you have a lot of features. It only feels like you have a lot of features when the features dominate you.
No, you're right. So Supreme Clientele, an example. I'm going to tell you another album that I actually listened to yesterday from beginning to end for the first time in a long time that you could say that about too, Mike, and that's Aquemini.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I was startled at how much the Dungeon family contributed to Aquemini, and you really don't feel it. It still succinctly feels like Big Boy and Andre Outkast record.
Yeah.
Like, without question, unequivocally. And so there is a nuance to how you do it. And so the fact that Drake did get outshined is another thing about how we need to contextualize his greatness. His greatness is in his hook writing and his hit-making ability. And his ability to craft a song. And those are talents and traits that are viable.
Did he show us that, though, on this album?
He showed us some of that, but what I would have to submit to you, sorry about that. What I would have to submit to you is that those qualities only take you but so far in terms of being in the greatest MC conversation. And so what I really want to point out is the fact that some of his highlights, his best moments on here, specifically, No Friends in the Industry and 7 a.m. Mike, Wayne does that on every single project that he drops. Like he has, like every Wayne project has about 2 or 3 songs where you hear a guy and you're like, yeah. And so he's not even Wayne.
So you must have seen the Trey Young tweet. Let me go to the Trey Young tweet.
I mean, I've seen it, but
He
it ain't
said-
even about that. It's like people need to understand. It's like he's not even Wayne, and Wayne is kind of top 20-ish, top 25, and he's not Wayne.
For the people who didn't see it, Trey Young said, "Yo, when we gonna say Drake has passed Hov?" So you feel like, you know, people are just
that's
not
what I'm
even.
saying. You haven't even passed Wayne. Like Hov's not a conversation for you. You're not past Wayne.
For someone who would say,
Mike, does he have any lyrical? Mike, just pick the 5 best records on the Carter 2, Mike, and show me where Drake has any lyrical performances like that. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you. And, you know, one thing that I will give Wayne points on, because, like you said, and I was going to ask you, and it's funny, you answered this without me even asking. Part of my notes was I was going to ask you, what does Drake really do well? And I feel like when Drake,
hits.
Yeah, hooks and hits. And honestly, his hits seem to be carried by other people on this one. But when you really look at it, we look at God's Plan, we look at Tootsie Slide, we look at Hotline Bling. A lot of his hits aren't even on some rap shit. And, you know, the hits that Wayne had, the Amelies, those are on some rapidy rap shit.
Hey, Mike, and I have to be honest with you. You know, the last hit record that he really made to me that I thought was like a big smash, and it wasn't a rap record, Mike. It was Going Home. That was the last record he made to me that I thought was like a real actual hit record.
No, it wasn't a rap record at all, and I like that song.
That
was
a rap
long
record, yeah.
Bro,
but
when you said that, when you said that, I had to think. Man, that was a long time ago, nigga. That was like 2013.
Yes.
That's the last hit you think
Something's gonna stay? Because all these other things are flash in the pan hits. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And you know, he's had a lot of help.
That long ago, wasn't it, Mike? Wasn't that like 2015, 2016 when he made Going Home?
You talking about that? Just so we're going home. Nah, that was like 14, 13, man. That was a minute ago.
Yeah, Mike, that's the last time he was making hits like that. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, he needed, like, a lot of these dudes, they ain't made like the shit that you think in a while. Like these songs, like when you said Hot Like Bling, I was like, oh, was that really an actual hit, or was that just like, you know?
It was in a Super Bowl commercial, all that. Like, it was big, man.
That shit is whack, Mike. Like, so
that shit was whack. Yo, speaking of Wayne, what did you think about the song with Wayne and Ross?
Beautiful. Like,
you liked it?
It's one of the things that make this album. Yeah, Ross and Wayne are on there spitting. Drake, I mean, you are right about this. He's never going to be the standout, but it's like I never thought he was better than Ross. I never thought he was better than Wayne. I never thought he was even better than Future. How about that?
I got a lot of...
Even better than Future.
I think Future's a better hitmaker. I've been on record to say I think Future would beat him in the verses.
Like by himself.
Yeah, Darnell Lee says 2013 was Going Home. Yes. Let me get to the comments real quick, and I want to get more into that song. Dag, we done had a whole bunch of comments, man. Sorry if we missed a couple. But no, Terminator says, salute Mike Coop, a.k.a. Eminem Lover. Matt Harmon says KD2 washes both Certified Lover Boy and Donda. Yes, I think everyone agrees.
Yeah. How about this? KD2 album has better tracks. Like, KD2 is better than Donda and Certified Lover Boy put together. Like, you can put those albums together, and they're not as good as Kings as these two. So, mid.
Taj says, Fair Trade, TSU, 7 a.m. on Bridal Path, F Fans, and The Remorse are the highlights for me. Wayne smoked him. Yeah, what are some of y'all favorite songs on the album? And this
What do you think of Fountains? What do you think of the record Fountains? I thought that is potential second or third single.
Fountains.
Track 16.
Track 16. I mean, you know, it was on some singing stuff, right?
Yeah. No. I didn't say that it was on some rap shit. I said
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you guys. I kind of skipped through some of the singy shit. I did. And so maybe that's where I, you know, fall
Look
short
who
with
don't
the
like the
album.
happy shit now.
Yeah. I kind of skimmed through the singing shit. Yo, but what I will say about the song with Wayne and Ross, what's the name of that song? Let me get to it. It was oh, You Only Live Twice. That's it.
Yeah, so Mike,
It
I mean, you're
sounded
right
dated
about
to
this.
me. It sounded dated to me. It sounded like some 2003 Just Blaze shit. No, it wasn't even Just Blaze shit. It was some Heatmaker shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Disrespectful, Mike. It don't sound that dated.
it sounded very dated. I
You don't like
mean,
the record, is what you're saying? Or maybe I'm just excited to hear like Ross and Wayne and Drake. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe there's a little nostalgia to that because those guys were like together around each other and making a lot of hits. You know what I'm saying? Together. You
I mean,
know?
you know, this is my thing. Maybe I'm saying this because I was hearing, certain media pundits, Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club, talking about Donda and saying certain things sounded dated. But you're telling me this doesn't sound dated?
Hold on. They said stuff on Donda sounded dated.
Yes, that was one of their criticisms.
Oh, well, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, that's not the issue with the album. The issue is that it's some mid, not that it's not like new and innovative. It's very new and innovative. It's just some
Right.
mid.
And I'm like, well, okay, well, if that's dated, how is something like You Only Live Twice? I mean, that shit sound like some, like I said, man, like some 2003, 2004.
You want to know what, Mike? I'm going to give you that a little bit, but I still think Ross's and Wayne's performances, like sometimes when you got a heavy hitter, like it don't matter as much anymore. And to me, I took the heavy hitters over what you're talking about because I
But
can hear
people
a little bit
said
of what you're
that,
saying.
people said that about when Rick Ross put out Big Time. You know what I'm saying? That song with Swiss Beats. What do y'all think in the chat? Like, what do y'all think
I'm just
You Only Live
you want to
Twice?
know what? And I really like Big Time, but even when Big Time came out, I knew it wasn't going to have the staying power of like his prior hits.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were all the highlights for you? No friends in the industry. Let me get to the
No,
track list real quick.
for me, I'm with fam too. I actually enjoyed TSU. So for me, the solo records, TSU, No Friends in the Industry, 7 a.m. on the Bridal Path. Those are his solo records on there that slapped to me. The other highlights of the album. Oh, and Champagne Poetry, the first song. The first song might be his best, intro. I haven't heard him talk like that, like in a long time. That actually sounds like the guy that first came out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He sounds like the guy that first came out.
You
like
know what? And
Champagne.
it's interesting you mentioned that. I believe him when he talks like that. And I
Me
think that's
too.
probably my
And
biggest
and
issue with Drake's music. I don't really believe him. And on
well,
this
you know
project, I
what?
don't really believe him.
I felt a little fooled a little bit because I wish I would have heard more of that talk on this record because the production was there for him to speak that way too.
Yeah, the
You know what I'm saying?
production was
And
there. I don't like
he
his
made
approach to a
so,
lot of the records. Yeah.
I'm about to say so he made it a choice to try to play it safe and make his hit records and get all his buddies together on the records. Like, it's very formulated.
K. Thompson says Champagne Poetry, Pipe Down, 7 a.m. are the songs I'm putting on my playlist. Yeah, what songs are y'all putting on your playlist on here? Jeff June says, I agree, Mike. It sounded so dated. Darnell Lee says, how Drake said he has no friends in the industry and got everybody on his album. It's a good question.
Well, I mean, but way too sexy, in too deep, and knife talk. I mean, those are probably would be the records that I'm gonna play the most, Mike.
You know, when I listen to albums, especially albums like this, because you always listen.
Because I'm not going to Drake for depth either. It's like and when I see Drake and Future together, Mike, I immediately want to hear some Jumpman. You know what I'm saying? So
No, definitely. I mean, when the track came in on Way Too Sexy, I was like, oh yeah, this sounds different, man. But see, again, whenever Thug and Future are together, it's like that. You know, I know people might have their feelings about how they feel, how they appreciate Thug's music or his contribution out here. But when him and Future get together, it's about to be a banger. They did that for Drake last year with the D4L song. Shit was hard. Like, the only reason why that song didn't hit is because of the pandemic.
Nothing on this. That's what I'm telling you. Like, D4L don't want no smoke with Way Too Sexy.
No, I agree. It just sounds different, man.
Like, Mike, from the moment the record come on and you already know like where they took it from too, and then you look at who he put on the record, you like, oh, this about to slap.
Oh yeah.
And it did. And it does. That's the highlight of the album. Future's the highlight of the album to me, Mike. His two performances.
Well, for people who listen to our show or who have been listening to our show, they know that I somewhat get biased when it comes to people using the 3 6 Mafia sample. And no friends in the industry is another one of those examples. When they hit them with that North Memphis, South Memphis, Westwood, Orange Mound. For the people who don't know, that was unreleased. Well, no, that was Underground 3 6 Volume 1. Niggas ain't barring that shit. So yeah, when I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, this goes.
Yeah.
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 So,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
but yeah, to me, that's the strongest song on there, and this is why I was gonna ask you about like where is Drake strong, because I feel like that's the only song we talk about hook, bars, everything that he actually carried. Because
Yeah.
everything
So
else, it feels like the features had a lot to do with it. Even the song with Lil Baby, because people in the chat are talking about that too.
no, it's cool. I mean, like I said, it's not a disappointing album. It's not a brilliant piece of work. It's safe. It's formulaic. There's some big highlight moments. He's not a slouch on here, but he's not even Wayne either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like he's an above average MC, Mike. He is. How about that?
Okay, but see, and it's funny, man, because
But he's not epic on the mic. Wayne is epic on the mic at times, and he's not even at that level. That's what I'm saying.
so y'all
And he's
got
never
y'all in the
been
chat, y'all got Wayne over Drake too. I'm
better.
guessing. I'm asking.
Like Mike, you remember "Oh No" off the Carter 2?
Mm-hmm.
Drake don't go, nuh-uh.
No, there's a different level. There's a different level.
Shit from the back seat, champ. Yeah, I'm in the back seat, still with the seat back, face back, stay from where the fake be. Yeah, no, he ain't got it
Nah.
like Wayne, man. No.
The